Welcome everyone to the first Warrior Women of Color Spotlight broadcast live from the Warrior Women of Color group here on Facebook. I am so excited. I am Elder Coylette James, and tonight I have as my very first guest, Dr. LaTarsha Holden, and I'm so excited. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Warrior Women of Color.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Your story just touched me in so many ways. It really, really did. Just coming from the background of the reason I even created the Warrior Women of Color group. And as you can see, my ladies behind me,
I love
it. We are a very, very diverse group of women who have come together to express the fact that we have a voice. We are stronger when we bind together. And for so many eons, not just short periods of time, but from the beginning of time, there has been this adage out there that women don't bond together, that we can't help one another, that there's always got to be bickering among us. And I do not believe that to be true. I believe that there is a sisterhood that can come together and be united in in our struggles, in our battles, in the things that we fight on a daily basis. And because we come from so many ethnic backgrounds and diversity, it is really, really important that we encourage one another. Each one of us have our different struggles. Each one of us have had our own specific battles. Just in being a woman, our gender alone causes us to fight battles every single day, just because of. But you know what? This is the gender that God chose for us. And for those of us that are in different ethnic backgrounds, the color of our skin is what God chose as well. We never went, at least I know I didn't. Now, maybe some of you have recognition of going to God and saying, make me a woman and make me of this color hue, but I don't. I don't remember asking for this, but I'm grateful. And I realize that because God does not make junk and he has purpose and destiny in what he creates, that he created us on purpose and in purpose in the hue in which we are in. Be it the diverse hues that African American women have, the ethnic background of the Native Indian, the ethnic background of the Asian, of the Latino, of the Caucasian. We were all put in the skin that we are in for purpose and destiny. And so we have to embrace that. But along the way, we find ourselves fighting some incredible battles. And so the purpose, I'm taking a little extra time today to kind of give you the background on what God put in my heart for Warrior Women, because this is our very first spotlight broadcast. Awesome. And the purpose is to encourage us as women along our journey as we go forth in the things that God has called us to. So when I heard your story, Doctor, I was just, oh my God, amazed. First and foremost, that you're a mother of 6. That was enough. That was just like, oh my God. Woo! I only had 2, and that was like, woo! But to be a mother of 6, and find yourself homeless in the midst of that had to be very, very trying. Can you give a little insight in what led to that circumstance that you found yourself in, to be with 6 babies and without a home?
Oh my goodness. Earlier I was a guest on a show for domestic violence, but that's what it was, a painful marriage that had domestic violence. I mean, and after 10 years ended. So when it ended, I was just a shell of a person. I was already someone that didn't really know who I was. By the time that marriage ended, I didn't even know whether I was coming or going. 35, I had already was a person that gave up at a young age. I dropped out in 10th grade. I had 4 children by the time I was 22. And so at 35 years old, when that relationship ended, that marriage ended, that's why I think I'm still in awe that I'm here, especially in my right mind.
Wow, 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 wow. There are so many women that can relate to the domestic violence plight. And to see that you overcame, you know,
Mhm.
but to understand what it took from you. Women need to know that even though it took so much from you, you still were able to rise up. I know it took time. So what was the process in which you came back into recognizing your life had value?
Oh my goodness, we talking about years. The thing
Mm,
is, even though you're not in the situation, I was no longer in that mental abusive, my mindset. I mean, again, I was already somebody to be 35 first, homeless in the streets of Atlanta, close to 4 years, 6 kids, only with the
my God.
GED, little work history. For me, it was the mental shift that I had to the first probably 6, 7 years, because it's been like a 12-year journey now. Probably I'd say the first 8 years, the mental shift was almost unbearable.
Mm,
The strain on my mind to be homeless for that amount of time was already enough. I mean, that alone right there was just, and to keep 6 children safe,
mm,
2 kids in high school, 2 kids in middle school, 2 kids in elementary school. I'm pulled every which way. So I'm trying to then I'm a full-time student, homeless. My mind was stretched so far. It's only by the grace of God. And I just keep stressing that because the mental strain that was on me was almost unbearable. I think that was almost as hard as being homeless. I would say that. Like we was talking earlier a couple of days ago, as a pastor, I often pose the question, what happens when your struggle outlasts your strength?
mm,
And we all know we can go through something for a couple of days, months, but when it becomes years
mhm.
and there's no help in sight and you're pushing, you're doing the right thing, you're going, and it seemed like God don't even know your name. And I wasn't raised in church, so it definitely, I didn't have a basis to start relying on. For me, it was the mental shift of God, I'm trying. Why you not helping me? I'm pushing. My family is laughing. My kids
Mm,
they wanted materials. They was kids. They still
right.
wanted the nice stuff. I could not afford it. So for me, it was the mental shift, going to school full time, trying to figure out where we're gonna sleep at, trying to keep them from the drugs, the gangs. So I'm like, it's only by his grace that I'm
My
even here in my
Lord.
right mind.
My Lord, my Lord. You know, our motto for warrior women is the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to pull down strongholds, coming
Yes.
from Corinthians 10:4. It has to be very, very, I don't know, amazing to you, as you've stated, the fact that even though you felt that God could not hear you, that God was not listening to you, to recognize that even in the midst of your struggle, he still had you. You know,
Yes.
the fact that your children did not have harm fall upon them,
Yes.
the fact that they went on, and I'm gonna let you kind of brag on your children in a few moments, but that they went on to be valuable members of society. A lot of times in the midst of what we're going through, we feel that God is not there. We feel that he doesn't
Yeah.
hear us. And especially when we're going through for a long period of
Here's
time.
a time.
In
Yeah.
that long period of time, we begin to say, you know what, God, what we let's be honest and
Just be
transparent.
on. Yes.
Sometimes we go, you know what am I doing?
Yes.
What am I doing?
Yes.
This is not working. You know, trying to trust God is not working. Trying to do this is not working. And unfortunately, we have so many sisters that just they check out. They just like, this is too hard. I can't do it. It's over. It's over. But I want to just encourage the ladies that are watching right now. It is not over till God says it is over. And even though it may seem like it is taking forever, we got to learn to focus in on what he's doing in the midst of. And like I said, the fact that he did keep your children safe. He did allow you the time that you needed to process that mind shift.
Yes.
That mind shift. So I would love for you to talk to the ladies briefly, like, what was the shift? What triggered that shift within your mind to say, I'm valuable. I really am valuable. And there's more to life than even what I see in my circumstances.
Well, you had said some woman of God that you we just keeping it real.
Mm-hmm.
On paper, statistically, to be a Black woman that's mid-30s, she's, I mean, it's a GED at that age. I was uneducated, you know, and then I didn't really have a work history. I had little chance of success. It was just, but like you said, the journey got so hard because the journey got so hard. I remember walking into a hospital here in Riverdale, Georgia, and I walked to the lady at the front desk, and I knew I was probably looking crazy because she looked at me and said, "Ma'am, are you okay?" I said, "No, ma'am, I can't do this anymore." She said, "Ma'am, are you saying you want to commit suicide?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. I'm tired." I mean, I was embarrassed. I'm just going to be honest. I'm humiliated. I'm trying, God. I'm pushing. Nothing is breaking. Nobody's helping me. And so they kept me for a week for observation. Wow. So here I am. I wasn't raised in the church, but I got admitted to this hospital on their floor where people want to have those thoughts or danger to themselves. But they had a padded room on that floor. And I would just had this feeling that I need to go into that room. And I asked the lady on that floor at the desk, I said, "Ma'am, can I go into that room?" She said, "Ma'am, you're no threat to anybody. That's for people trying to really hurt themselves." I said, "I know, but I need to go into that room." And it was in that room where I would drop down to my knees once a day for that week that I was there. And I just remember crying out, lifting my hands up heaven, "God, are you there? Please help me. I don't have anything. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go." And when they released me, my situation did not immediately change, but I knew something was different. It was a feeling like I wasn't alone. You know, it was like he gave me another fresh wind to keep going. And so slowly, I mean, my mindset was, I had lived a defeated life for 30 some years. So it wasn't like my mindset shifted, but I just kept going. And Elder Colette, before I knew it, I just matriculated by the grace of God through college. Wow. With my associates, my bachelor's, my MBA. Now, when I did get accepted to the PhD program for leadership study, at that point, I did want to bungee jump up to heaven.
Give God a high five.
I want to just high five, just a quick up, come on back down. But I just, you know, he took me to a place that only my wildest imagination can go to.
Wow, wow.
A homeless woman. When I enrolled in college, we was living in a board-up house as squatters. I'm pacing the floor. And right before we got into that part, we moved into the board-up home. Here I am now thinking of legacy and suicide. And so I'm like, okay, I can't leave my kids without anything. I don't have nothing. What can I? And I gave my kids the most intimate part of who I was. I'm gonna be honest, I was so embarrassed to let them see that side of me because it had been rejected. But I'm a person of love. My gifts is love and compassion. And I said, okay, I'm gonna give my kids the only key that I possess. That was it. And I said, well, 12 years ago, I said, well, I want to show you all how to give back. They were like, "Mama, what you talking about? We don't have anything. How are we gonna help somebody?" Wow. I said, "I know it, but I believe if I can teach you all how to serve now at our Lord's, I've given you a strong foundation to build on to become great leaders." Wow. I mean, you know, as a Black woman that had a poverty mindset, I just gave my kids the only thing I possessed. That was the only key. I'm so shocked because they complained, but they was listening and they was watching. And we got the newspaper clipping. I did about 4 or 5 events in the community. I was tired, but I just gave it's almost like I threw the lifeline to my city. That was my lifeline. I threw it, and the last thing I could do, my God, that was my lifeline to my 6 children. Wow. And and one by one, they just, my son, you know, Felipe, he's 31 years old. He came to me his senior year. He just said, "Mom, by what you showed me, my way of giving back and service, joining the United States Marine Corps." You know, he just served 10 and a half years. Now he's a second-year college student. My Lord. Another son became a caretaker. He's gainfully employed. The man would give you the shirt off his back. My daughter said, "Mom, my way of giving back is going to the medical field." She's an EMT, licensed pharmacy tech. She's a second-year college student. Another daughter said, Mom, my way of giving back is going to the human service field. She just graduated May with her bachelor's in liberal studies and joined the United States Army 2 years ago. My 19-year-old daughter is a 4-time published author.
Wow.
Youth speaker, youth leader. She's a website creator. And my youngest son, Omega. Lord, we have finally reached the end. Omega. I had to brand them, woman of God. I said, that's it. That's the last. No more coming after him. But Omega turned 18 in August. He's a youth leader, youth athlete, has never given me any problems. And I tell you, I realized that's what leadership is. It starts in-house first, and then you go out. Not ministry, not out. Then you know. And so for God to allow me to see my 6 children being leaders in their own unique way, I just, that alone is a pot of gold.
That's amazing to think that you were able to put that in them. You know, I think when you were talking, I think about Moses, and God said, what do you have in your hand? We are so quick to say we have nothing. And what can we do? Or what can I do as an individual? But God is saying, what's in your hand? Or in your case, what's in your heart? You gave what was in your heart, and you poured that into your children. And look at the outcome. Look at the fruit of your labor. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. I want to encourage the ladies that are watching this. You have something of value. Don't ever, ever, ever let anyone devalue you or tell you you are worthless or you have nothing to give. You have yourself.
Yes.
You have yourself. Yes. You have, there is greatness. This is one of the things that God has placed within me to speak over everybody I come in contact with, not just the women, but especially within this group, the women. There is greatness within you. There is greatness within you. And now you are not only got your doctorate, your PhD, you're an ambassador. You are a published author yourself. And I want you to talk about your books as well. But, you know, just to see what God has done from a high school dropout, GED, homeless, 6 children, to what he has done for your life in 12 short years, because that's not a long time.
That oh my gosh,
that is not a long time. you know, accomplish all that you've accomplished, that's not a long time.
That you know. And I made a vow, and this is how I ran for city council in 2017. And this is when my confidence started to pick up, because when you've been through the fire, the oil is different. When you walk and you know for a shadow of a doubt, had it not been for the Lord, there was no, I wasn't that smart to matriculate through college under those circumstances. I didn't have financial resources. I believe God is using my story to tell people he can take the little that you have. If you use it in faith, that's that faith. Girl. That faith that's a mustard seed. He said, if you did, and so I say, God, if you deliver me out of homelessness and the hopelessness, I'll go back and fight for others.
My God.
I'm not from the political area, but I felt like I had a moral duty to go back and stand for the homeless community, lack of affordable housing. And so that's how I became a city council candidate in 2017. And I just remember a quote Nelson Mandela said. He said, how could he enjoy the limited freedom that he had when his sisters and brothers was not free? I could not enjoy, okay, I got a doctorate degree, but when I ride down the street, I see my sisters with the same look I used to have on my face. I could not enjoy when I saw my brothers walking down the street with that lost look and don't know where to go. So I had to go, and that began my journey. Well, it continued because I was serving when I showed my kids how to be leaders, even when you don't have anything. And it just continued. And so I said, okay, God, I ran for office. Now I want to do a holistic approach and reach the family through my writings. So now I'm thinking about after I liberated my family, now I wanted to liberate others through my writing. And so I have my life story. I have 4 children's books. In my children's books, I teach about kindness and diversity and friendship. Then I have a 4-part youth series, because now I want to touch the teens that when I remember my kids were teenagers. My youth series deal with sex trafficking, teen dating violence, bullying, love and forgiveness. Now I want to go back and get the moms and dads. So I wrote a 60-page training manual where I go and do workshops so I can help them change the narrative for their lives. And then I just recently released my leadership books because now I want to reach the aspiring leaders in ministry in the marketplace. We have too many leaders, public successes and private failures. And so God had me write a leadership book that touch on the principle, as leadership principles, the power of personal development. In 12 years, I can't say one ago. Now I am taking a breather now. I think I've done a sabbatical for about 2 weeks because I'm like, what just happened in 12 years?
You've earned it. You have truly earned it.
Yes, ma'am. So I am.
Wow.
Oh, he could have did that.
Wow.
I didn't have the money, but his favor. Favor.
Amazing. Woman of God, I would love for you just to look into the camera and speak to the women that are watching this broadcast right now. What do you say to them to encourage them not to stop, just to keep pressing, no matter how bleak, how dark it may seem in the situation they may find themselves, but what do you say to them to just keep going?
Well, first I just want to encourage the ladies that God knows what he's doing. Had he released me earlier from the crucible, I call it the crucible turn, I got my sons in the Marine. Had he released me off the potter's wheel earlier, see, God knows it might not take 12 years for you. It might take, your cycle might be, 6 months. But for me, because I had lived a defeated life for so long, the 12 year, I call it the wilderness. That was my spiritual boot camp training ground. Now I went in as Barney Fife and I came out as the Rock. So he knew what he was doing.
Love it.
But trust God. But one thing I do want to say to you, God did not magically save my life. I had to be a willing participant in my own deliverance.
That's good.
God did not bless me with my degrees out the blue. He didn't bless me. I had to put the work in. But one thing God will do, my sister, he will bless your faithfulness. He will reward you for your faithfulness and your obedience. Had it not been for God's mercy and grace, and God is using me for those people. I don't have the money, I don't have the connections, I don't have the degrees. I believe, sometimes, some people got to go through the fire so you can come back. Oh, I didn't have the money, I didn't have the degrees, so you can know that trusting in him, he will see you through.
Amen.
He will see you through if you trust him. Yes. And that don't mean you ain't gonna cry. That ain't mean, and it got so hard. I called one of my girlfriends one day when we was homeless, and I say, I'm thinking about in my leadership book, I talk about having accountability partner versus yes men. But I called my friend because just because you're going through something don't mean the thoughts won't come. See, the devil's going to tempt you. I was at my most vulnerable time. And so I started thinking about strip dance. I'm going to be honest. It ran through my mind. And, I said, well, I ain't bad. Look, I might can go down, So I called my girlfriend and I said, well, I'm thinking about going to do this. What you think about? She just started laughing. She said, oh, I'm not laughing at you because you're not nice or you don't have the body. She said, that's not your personality. They'll eat you up. And I said, you think so? And we just laughed. But if she was an accountability partner, if she was a yes man, she would probably be in a club with me. Girl, come on, let's go. We both will make this money.
All right.
So we have to be careful about those people that are surrounding us, because when we're vulnerable, will they be able to tell you you're going in the wrong direction, or will they be on the bandwagon to your destruction?
That's good. That's good. I think we've all had, I know I have, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of walked the strip for a minute, back in the day, because I grew up in Vegas, and it was just like, because I went through that struggle too, and it was just like, oh, my babies ain't gonna be hungry, I gotta do what I gotta do. And I tell people, this was BC, y'all, it was before Christ. It was like, hey, okay, so I hear you, but one thing it does for us, when we can be transparent and understand where other people are coming from, it gives you that place of, you never look down on somebody else's struggle. You never look down on somebody else's choices. What you try to do is help them to make better choices.
That's right.
And that's what I needed. I needed God to help me make better choices, to, as the word of God says, find that more excellent way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got you, sis. I understand. But again, that was the important. See, you had somebody to say, no, don't do that. My friend said, girl, come on. I had the opposite experience. It's like, well, come on, we'll keep each other's back. But I thank God, because God's hand was always on my life, the same way it was on yours. He said, no, I'm not gonna let you be out here. It was short-lived. He was like, no, come on. No, we're not going this route. But, and you know what? That's the beauty of God. Because even in my wild days, even in whatever, I was doing in that era of my life, there would get to a point where there was that line and God would be, no, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And something would happen, A lot of times we don't understand the hand of God. You know what I'm saying? You don't understand some of those brick walls you hit and those obstacles that happen. As that God said, whoa. No, come on. No. No, I'm not going to quite let you get out there that far.
Exactly.
Come on.
Yes.
So, and I thank God for it. I thank God for it. I personally, I didn't get saved till I was 33. And my history, my background, I had my first child at 14, my second child 8 days after I turned 16. So I understand the struggle from the youth, and I wasn't one of those girls that just had my babies and dropped them off. I was just like, I was working, going to school and taking care of babies, So, and I thank God for my mother that allowed me to finish school. But then there was that grade divide. Once I got out of high school, my desire was to go to college and get a college education. But here's like, okay, so you had a 12-year thing, and by the time you got into school, you were what, late 30s, early 40s? 35. So, that's a blessing. My testimony, I always wanted to go back to college and get my degree. God blessed me 45 years, and one day after I graduated high school, I graduated with my bachelor's degree. So it's just like it's a broad spectrum. God can visit you in many different areas and stages of your life. So I want to encourage you, ladies, don't look at years or time and allow that to judge your thought of failure or success. Okay. Until God says it's over, it is not over. I am now going after my doctorate in divinity, and I'm so grateful to God for it, and I am 64 years old. So it's like, it's never too late. It is never too late. And I just want to encourage, and the blessing that he did in your life and the blessings that he's doing in my life right now is the same blessings that he has for your lives. Same blessings.
I was laughing because school was not on my mind. I remember I started having visions and dreams of me speaking and preaching around the world. So I went to church one Sunday while we was homeless. And when Mary Parker, that's her name in Atlanta, very successful, she owns her own security company. I didn't know who she was then. When she came off the pulpit, I began to talk with her and tell her what was going on. She ministered to me. And honestly, this is honest to God. This is what I thought she was going to tell me. You having dreams of preaching? Oh, go join that ministry class and God is going to make it better. No, she did not say that. She asked me, did you finish school? And I'm telling you, I was 35. I dropped my head a little bit and I'm like, I was not talking about, in my mind, I'm like, school. I ain't been in school since I was 15 years old. I'm saying it. I said, no, man, I haven't been in school. She said, you probably want to start there. When I left there and went to that board up house, driving there, I was mad. I tell you, my mind, I was like, God, I'm never going to be somebody. Go back to school. But when I realized I had 12 eyes watching me, I made a decision that I was the only one that was going to come and save my family. But school was not initially on my mind. Had she not, so we have to be, sometimes God will bring people along just to give you those little nuggets, how you're supposed to get back on track. But because it's not what we want to do, we brush it to the side. But for me, I was in a situation well, I had to do something to change the trajectory of my family's life. And so that was the way how I got to enrolled in college.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, woman of God, it has been such an honor and a privilege to have you and to kick off the Women of Color, the Warrior Women of Color Spotlight broadcast with you. And your testimony has just been incredible, just totally incredible. I am so grateful for what God has done in your life and what he is going to continue to do, because there is no limit. The people say that the sky is the limit. In God, there are no limits.
Yes,
you just keep going and just keep allowing God to use you. And thank you for your willingness to be transparent and to just encourage others. Like you said, you want to reach back and make sure that others can accomplish their goals and their purpose in life. So I thank God for you. Thank you so very, very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Can I just shout out my books right fast so people can know
definitely, I want you to shout out your books, and I want you to tell people how they can reach you. And then if you would be so kind, after this live is over with, if you would be so kind to go into the group and put in your contact information as well, that would be phenomenal.
Awesome. Well, you can reach me on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can also go to my website, www.drlatarshaholden.info. And my leadership book is available. My life story, No Longer Lost, From Homelessness to Overcomer. And if you purchase either one of these books for free, I will send you my first Christian comic book that was released in June of this year. It was brutal. I tell you, I love it. So I sent, it's a creative message to encourage you that God has not forgotten about you. So again, that's www.drlatarshaholden.info. My email is LaTarshaHolden@yahoo.com. If you want to book a coaching session, you can reach me at 404-838-9587.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so very much, woman of God. I give God all the glory for your life. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Amen. You have an incredibly blessed day. Ladies, we will be back next week for another spotlight of a phenomenal woman who has allowed God just to do incredible things within her life. You guys have a very, very blessed week, and we'll see you later. God bless.